then also, as she said, this was in final year. And definitely, probably we're in school together for maybe 6 or 7 extra months. And then I had to go serve. We had to go for service here. I was posted, of course, separate. We had to go our separate ways because of service. So during this period, and even while in school, I think one thing that helped us was the fact that at that point, she didn't have a smartphone because I think they stole her phone or something. So I had to call. I had to always
It was
call.
that day that was changing number that they stole my phone.
There was no chatting. It couldn't be WhatsApp. It couldn't be anything. You get, so I had to call. I had to always call. So I think that also helped me to build more intimacy. Sort of, I had to call all the time. It's not just about chatting. It had to be hear your voice, hear my voice, hear your voice. You get, so, and we had a lot of time on our hands in school to talk, get to know each other. So when the clarion call came and then we had to go serve, to keep the relationship, it was a long distance relationship because I was in Delta, she was still in Ibadan at some point, and then she went to Niger, so there was no way we could see each other. But then we kept on calling. Like, no, my calling was, don't let me say my calling, the calling was, people that knew me then knew that, no, Ele to bury. And it was always interesting because we had new things to talk about every day. Even sometimes when we had to talk about things that we already talked about before, there's always a new vibe. So it was really interesting. And probably because I already made up my mind that this relationship would lead to marriage by God's grace. So I was really committed. She was really committed as well into it, like really, really committed. So that helped as well. We helped to solve the long distance relationship part. And communication, it was really, really effective because we called literally all the time. So there was already a routine. You call in the morning, and then probably at work, if you get the time to call as well, you call. Then at night is now the final game where it's an extended call. So me that I could not, before meeting I could not hold the 10 minutes conversation, but then we talk in 2 hours, I had to get CUG lines. Just to be
Can you hear?
Just to be able to
So
talk.
because I know left school was in February. So from February to October, we did call back to back, like maybe like 5 times in a day or more than that in a day. So that really helped the early stage of the relationship because we're always communicating. So even till now, we even chatting does not really is until when we talk, that's when we know okay, our body is okay.
Yeah. So I think that sort of helped really. That sort of helped because if we had been probably limited by chatting and most of the things we discussed about may not have really been that effective. So calling actually helps. So I understand that okay, people are different. As I said, I wasn't the calling type too before. Yeah, I wasn't the talking type at all. But then because I just grew that mindset that I'm committed to doing this and I want to do it well. So we didn't see the long distance as an issue. Even after leaving service and then coming back to Lagos to work, there was still some distance at some point. Okay, we reconnected at some point. I was doing my master's in Ibadan at the same time as she was. So we reconnected again and we were able to see even more often. But after that time, there was also a break off. I had to go back to Lagos. She was still in Ibadan. So calling, it helped actually. Just call. Sometimes the phone might just be, you might not be saying anything for like 10 minutes, but trust me, something will come up again and then we start. So without breaks, we start again. So the long distance, I think it's doable, as she said. It's doable. It just boils down to your commitment. If you are committed to it, if you are committed to your career, you will do anything to save it. You do anything to make it work. You go for trainings to make it. So the same way, if you think this relationship is not something you want to lead to marriage, then put in the commitment. If it has to do with you calling, I told you, okay, not everyone will be able to afford. It's not like we're even rich enough to, but trust me, it was just worth it for us to invest in. We started doing CUG at that point just to ensure that okay, we are not spending so much to the point that we'll finish our CUG. CUG that they will tell you does not have limit. It actually has a limit. You get, so that's how much we explored and ensured that we kept the communication line going. There wasn't any case of I'm not working with you in 4 or 5 days.
Even when there was one time, remember one time that I said that let's see if we can do without talking to each other in a day.
We couldn't go back.
Because in the night, we now called and said, no, let's not try it. So,
well, God helping us anyways. I still have to go down to the fact that God helped us.
And God was with us.
But it's doable. Long distance is doable. Now, life is even better now. They are calling out video calls and all of those things. So we could not explore all of those because, of course, maybe data and all. You get bored.
But now, glory to God.
I still praying to God,
We have money to buy data, yes.
Yeah. I feel like one major word or one key word that I've picked is commitment. That's like one key word I picked. Like both from the relationship, from the marriage, like commitment is very important. Communication, very important. Understanding, very important. And, yeah. So my last question. People feel like it's hard or it's not possible to have like a godly relationship where you guys are like okay, wait before you get married and all that. And so like how are you guys able to like maneuver that? Like how are you able to handle it? So how can you tell people, like do you think it's something that is possible? Like okay, maybe long distance relationships can also help in achieving that as well. And like so like what can people do to achieve such kind of thing? Are there like any boundaries or anything that people can do in order to have a good relationship where you're waiting for sex to marry?
Why did you come?
No, just that.
Okay, so for me, I will say that it's possible. I don't see possibility. I used to see possible. I don't see impossibility. I see possibility. So for me, I'll say it's possible. And yes, long distance relationship can also help. I'm not saying it helps or it can help. It can also help. If you want it to help you, it can also help you because it's the way you see the long distance relationship. That's how it will be for you. So for us, the long distance relationship was because our relationship was for a long time. So yes, it helped. Yes, it helped because we also told ourselves that okay, this is what we want out of this relationship. We want to get married at the end of the day, and we don't want to start enjoying what we want to enjoy after when we get married. So we communicated, we talked about it, we discussed it. So we told ourselves that the day that me will not have sense, you have sense. The day you will not have sense, me I will have sense.
So I'll just, it's not easy, just to be very candid, because this is someone you are attracted to, both physically and all the leads that you can talk about. So there's always the urge, there's always the temptation to explore. That's being very candid. I would like to leave. There's been near misses, there will always be near misses and all. But then I think one thing that I would advise, or one thing that we always did was the fact that we still always told ourselves that we are keeping ourselves till marriage. And somehow, maybe because we both believed in that institution of you waiting till marriage. It wasn't. So it's harder when the one party is saying no, but we both had that from day one that okay, this thing we are waiting till marriage. So even in situations where, as she said, one of us is not having sex, I think sometimes we just create some distance. This is now physically, even with you being together, create some distance, talk about other things, watch movies, just do something that will just lure you away from whatever you think you want to. And I also say that prayer also helps. Pray about it like vigorously. I don't want to have this temptation. I don't want to have this urge. And somehow it will go away. This is not being just giving a vague answer, because trust me, it's not cast in stone. What works for us may not work for some other persons. But then I know that anything that you put into God's hands, it would always give you a way out. So as much as possible, if both parties already have that mindset from the first day that okay, we are waiting, as much as temptations will come, it is still your responsibility to run away from that temptation. And God has also told us that He won't tempt you beyond what you can handle. So, and He's always faithful. He was faithful in those prayers. And to answer your question, yes, godly relationship, they still exist. they still exist.
So it's a proof.
Exactly, they
And you
still
can
exist.
still,
And
you can work it.
you can always
work
wait.
it.
You can, because you get to enjoy more than what, because how many, okay, even if you dated or you're in a relationship for 5, 6, even 10 years, the hope and the prayer is that you're going to be married for even more than that. So you get to enjoy. I think one thing you should have at the back of your mind is this thing, because even for physical things, once you achieve most of those things, it just becomes like what's there you get. So if you keep that mentality at the back of your mind that once I enjoy this thing, it might become something that I will not even be interested in. So let that curiosity and the fact that I can't wait, let it just keep burning. So that at the point when you are eventually going into the game, you are happy doing it. It's not just what's even there you get. So and God helps.
Another thing that I was scared about it and I prayed about it then. I also tried to work on it was that I was scared that if I start doing this thing now, it is that anytime we see, that is the only thing we'll be doing. Because I felt that there was a lot that we could do together. Apart from that, we plan to go out, catch funds, we sit down to plan future, do a lot of things. So my fear was that okay, if we start doing this thing now, are you sure this is not going to take 90% of the relationship, and do you think that's really needed relationship will now take 10%? So.
Eventually, sir, this is also for viewers watching, just our opinion, not because it's not cast in stone very well. So at the end of the day, you also realize that in marriage eventually, I don't know, we have different personality. Eventually there are a lot of things to do beyond even sex itself. So if eventually when you enter into marriage, you're not going to be having sex for the whole day or exactly. So
7 days in a week.
Exactly, there are always other things to do. And as she said, involve yourself in doing all that. In the relationship itself, you can go out, you can just so that let's even go out for majority of the day. And then after that we'll go our different ways and all. And when you have to meet, probably meet in open spaces. It will come to a point where, because every control, everything would always have an exception. It will come to a point where you probably have to be indoors together. But if you preoccupy your mind with sex, as she said, it now becomes that there's this fear that at the end of the day, all the relationship will be about is just, and then you take out all the important things that you could have used your time to do and all. But to end it, God helps. Pray about it. God listens to every prayer, everything that you have to say, He listens. And He helped us. So I believe He can help everyone.
He helped us. We know it ourselves because we're both naive. So we didn't even know how to go about it. We never had a relationship before, me or him.
This is if both of them are each other's first. Amen. Okay.
So that's we've known about relationship or been in a relationship before. This is all our first time. So we were just being naive and just let's just plan and just see how it goes and God helped us. So.
And I think that naivety also helps.
Is also very
because everyone cannot be naive actually. So for people like us that it was first, that also helped because we were probably doing everything without it. There was no template. There was nobody to compare with. This was how it's supposed to get. So
during calls now, nobody told me calls was too much. To me, that is all I can do in my relationship. So nobody told me the call was too much or call. You get, when I go to visit, we really did not even do visiting so much like that. What we did was mostly call. So nobody could tell me, only lucky or you are going to see him too much. So there was nobody there was no yardstick to say this was how I was in a formal relationship. It worked or it didn't work. So this is why I should do this one. So we just did everything. So I feel just let it flow with the help of God. God with us. God is always with us.
God number one. So this has been really, really inspiring and insightful. You guys, thank you so much. Finally, we get to do this. So we have one more thing to do, one last session. So they're going to play a game. And the winner is going to give the other person a gift. They're the ones that win, so they give it. So you decide your gift when you get home. Who made the first move? Who said I love you first? Who is the more grumpy one in the morning? Who takes more time to get dressed?
Dressed.
Okay. Well, sometimes.
Most of the times.
Okay, most of the time, but sometimes.
Who is a calmer person?
Your mind is calm. Your mind is calm. You think you are calm. You think it's calm. It's him.
Who is more social?
I think on both levels.
Who is the bigger baby when they are sick?
Not tell me.
Who is the better cook? Bolaji kitchen. Who is more healthy? Who is the bully?
Point your hand to yourself.
Alright, you guys, thank you so much for coming on my channel. Like, it was really nice having you guys here. I had so much fun with you, and I guess we all learned a lot from you guys. So, and thank you guys for watching, for staying to the end of this video. If you like what you just saw and you want more of it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Please subscribe.
See, they're helping me to beg. Please subscribe to my subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click the notification button so you can get notified when we have our next video. Please like. If you also agree with many of the things we said, if there's anything that you learned from them, you can put it in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Wait, so how are you going to know who the winner of the game? I don't understand.
She will be marking it now.
It's true. There's no winner.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Juwon, please stop. Yeah.
Okay, hi guys. It's glad to join this channel. Yeah.
It took us a lot to bring this to God here.
All the way from January.
I mean, yeah. So you could just say anything. Okay, man.
This love's not for you and me. Be my Juliet and I'll be your Romeo. My love, it's the hand of God, now Him bring you to me. It's indescribable what you mean to me. Would you be my Juliet and I'll be your Romeo? My love, oh yeah, yeah. Would you be my Juliet and I'll be your Romeo?